Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 544 to 545 for the 21st to 22nd of August. I actually wanted to do the video yesterday, the SITREP yesterday, but things happened and my internet died, and also I need to go out. So yeah, now we're gonna have 2 days SITREP today, and let's start off with the biggest breaking news. SUROVIKIN reports of his suspension. So there has been a lot of rumors about SUROVIKIN getting suspended for the past 2 weeks. That he has been arrested, or house arrest or whatnot. A lot of rumors, and today for the first time, we actually have information coming from Ryba, the pro-Russian source, which have a pretty high credibility, talked about this. And this actually comes because there was news from Russian media. According to United 24 media, they mentioned this is by RBC, Russian media. I'm not very familiar with it. So anyway, they say that this news of the dismissal, for official dismissal, is shocking. So apparently he was removed immediately after Prigozin's rebellion. Prigozhin is the leader of the Wagner private military contractors, and so he was kept in a certain place called Lefortovo for interrogation, and after that to a more comfortable condition, probably some house arrest or something. So basically, this has been kind of corroborating all these rumors thus far about the SUROVIKIN disappearing from sight. And so Ryba was just ranting a lot of things about all these things. And definitely he said that this is the removal might not necessarily be a sentence, but probably a temporary measure. At least that's what they want to believe. The pro-Ukrainian media, United 24, reported that this is actually quoting from RBC, saying that he has been dismissed from the Russian Space Force in connection to a transition to another job. So they also reported that since the Prigozin's attempted mutiny, SUROVIKIN has not appeared in public, and of course that's what I mentioned earlier, that there's a lot of rumors about him getting arrested. So according to United 24, they say that Western media believe that it was because SUROVIKIN knew about Prigozin's mutiny, but he did not report it. He didn't say that, but no, this is what I'm trying to say. No, maybe because SUROVIKIN knew about Prigozin's plans, but he did not report to the higher up, did not try to prevent it from happening or arrest Prigozhin or something. So as a result, he is kind of like, participants by inaction. So there is no information whether SUROVIKIN is part of this mutiny or planned mutiny or not. But this is very interesting, because there are a lot of people dubbing about Wagner, whether Prigozhin planned it with Putin. This mutiny might be actually entirely fake, or is it actually real? Nobody actually knows, but we still have SUROVIKIN, one of the very, very popular generals within the Russian forces, getting taken out from the special military operation. So that's actually pretty significant. So let's move on to another very interesting news. The Ukrainian have some speedy vessels traveling in the Black Sea, and they were engaged by Russian Air Force. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, on the 21st of August, they have a Sukhoi 30 SM firing at this reconnaissance boat, accordingly by the owned by the Ukrainian armed forces. Then the next day, the Sukhoi 30 SM again engaged another Ukrainian boat. This time around is an amphibious boat with an assault group on board. Reportedly belongs to the main intelligence directorate, which I believe is also the SBU. So this was 38 kilometers west of Cape Takhankut, and basically 38 kilometers west of Crimea. So after a couple of hours later, another MiG-29 destroyed another American type boat, which was given to the Ukrainian Navy. This time around, this is 40 kilometers east of Snake Island, which is over here. And this is also being reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, saying that it happened on the 22nd of August on the 11th o'clock at Moscow time. So, reportedly also destroyed. The Russian Defense Ministry released a video of the engagement of the fighter jet actually firing its cannons against these speedboats. So I never expected to see strafing, so strafing is basically aircraft firing their guns at a target on the ground. That is actually I didn't expect this, in modern day warfare. So this is a bit of interesting to me. So anyway, this happened. Allegedly, all these forces are destroyed. The alleged target was that these speedboats are supposed to land troops on some of the oil rig around this region, and they might also be preparing for a potential amphibious assault on the peninsula of Crimea. So let's see how this goes, as usual. And moving into the southern front, at the southern front, we have the Ukrainian amphibious operations continuing along the Dnipro River. We have a landing around here reported by by Ryba, the pro-Russian source, and then another force around this area here. They were spotted by the Russian forces, and they got shelled by artillery. So I just want to say that this may not mean anything, because these are the ones that got spotted. There will be others that are not spotted and successfully landed troops, rotated troops among all these islands, and because they are not detected, so there's no reports on it. So don't be too happy about this. If you're pro-Russian, the only time you will see report is because they managed to find them. Most of the other times they probably didn't find them. So moving on from the southern front, we go into the Zaporizhia front, basically along this line. At the Zaporizhia front, at the Orikhiv sector, the Ukrainian forces continue their attack in the Robotine region, and this time round they are heading on the eastern part of Robotine as well as towards Verbove along the first line of defense. There is also a alleged report towards Kopani and Nesteryanka, as well as in the area of Uspenivka. So let's go by the rumors first. Smaroshenikov, the pro-Ukrainian source, he reported, but like I mentioned before, you probably hear me say this in previous reports, he's a bit vague. Sometimes the way how he said that there are tactical successes on the Nesteryanka Kopani line. So basically, Kopani is actually all the way over here. So the Ukrainians are probably attacking in these directions. What it means by tactical success, where the front lines are, we do not know. And the Russian Defense Ministry reported that there is fighting reported near the Uspanovka, which is Uspenivka in this region. I suspect that this is actually in this area here, just on the western part of this Balka Uspenivka. And at Robotine itself, there is continued fighting. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, Ryba, SUROVIKIN Maps, Deep State UA, Myroshnikov, basically everyone reported about the fighting at Myroshnikov, at Robotine. SUROVIKIN Maps made a very interesting report on the 22nd of August. They reported that the Russian forces actually launched a counterattack and managed to capture some lost position in the center of Robotine. So while most of the fighting, we are talking about the Ukrainians attacking in all these different directions, they are trying to attack and capture Robotine. Suddenly we have this report of Russian counterattack and managed to capture all the way around here. However, we have a geolocation of the front line by Dnipro Osin, which is a pro-Ukrainian source, showing there's a Bradley supporting some Ukrainian infantry that was pinned down. They are unable to even get up. They have to lie down and stay in cover, and then the Bradley drive down and actually provide cover fire against some Russian forces around this area here. So this also show that the front line is actually around here, and SUROVIKIN Maps information may come after this incident, or it might be not entirely correct, but we're not sure. So there is also some rumors of Russian withdrawal according to Surya maps on the western part of Robotine. This was reported on the 21st of August, which is one day before the alleged counterattack by the Russians. And in his mapping, he shows that the Russian forces actually withdraw away from this two trench line. Too long. These two trench line, allegedly the Russians are abandoning it, and the Ukrainians allegedly kind of capture it or something. But I thought this is not so clear. I'm not too sure if that's the case, because that's how he mapped it. In Surya maps mapping, he did not show all these trench lines, and these trench lines are definitely not so simple to capture, because they're part of the first line of defense. These are the serious trenches. So I have my doubts about the Ukrainian forces just simply waltz in, and the Russian forces just withdraw out. I thought this is a bit too simple. So end up, I did not change this mapping. We shall continue to monitor and see if this can be corroborated. Over on the eastern part of Robotine, we have fighting reported on the eastern part, according to Ryba, and they reported that they were also heading towards the first line of defense over on the eastern part of Robotine. This is reported by Myroshnikov as well, as they say that the Ukrainian forces reached the main line of defense. So we shall continue to see. I think I need the arrow to be thicker. No, we need it to be thick. And yeah, so this is currently what is happening. So we shall see how this goes. Definitely the Russians have this first line of defense over here, another trench line around here, another heavy entrenchment around here. So it's not so simple for the Ukrainians. Yeah, they are definitely getting slowly pushed into this easy, less heavily entrenched area here, which might not be a very good idea to go inside, but might be a trap. So that's all from the Orikhiv sector, where Robotine is. At the Huaypole sector, Huaypole sector, there is fighting reported north of Dorozyanka. The last time we seen fighting over here is a week ago. This is reported by Myroshnikov. They mentioned this is some tactical success near Dorozyanka. So that's all we know. You can also dismiss this as rumors, because it is not reported by anyone else. The Russian Defense Ministry reported there is some Ukrainian reconnaissance group intercepted south of Chervone. So this is Chervone, and probably the reconnaissance group was trying to attack towards Mafopil or Stepanivka, and they got intercepted by Russian forces that's probably defending in this area here. So that's all from the Huaypole sector. Moving into the Velika Novosilka sector, this is Velika Novosilka. At the Velika Novosilka sector, the Ukrainian forces continued their attack, their offensive actions over at Staromayorsky and Uruzhaine. According to information by Russian Defense Ministry, Myroshnikov and Ryba, as well as information coming from Ryba, it was said that the Ukrainians are attacking in this direction. They are attacking like this, on the eastern part as well as south of Uruzhaine. But Ryba's mapping is interesting, because they shows that the Russian forces actually have positioned just off Uruzhaine, which means that the Russian claims now is not exactly along the Mokryali River and around Zavinne Balzania. So this actually put into question previous reports about the fighting near Zavinne Balzania. This is reported by Myroshnikov on the 19th of August, and I can tell you he even went further right now. In the latest report from this pro-Ukrainian source, they say that the fighting is now close to Staromlinivka, and they say that Zavinne Balzania is close to encirclement, and which means that his claim is that the Ukrainian forces have attacked very close to Staromlinivka, and that the Ukrainian forces have the potential to encircle Zavinne Balzania already. This is very far away from what the Russians are claiming, because the Russians are claiming an even closer line to Uruzhaine right now. And yeah, so the Myroshnikov statements sounds a bit a bit ambitious, a bit bullish. I wouldn't say it's fake because I have no idea. So because who knows, it could be Ryba actually holding back information. We do not know. So let's see how this goes. But I just want to know that there is these rumors about the Ukrainian forces getting close to Starolinivka, just down this road, because there is actually no settlements on the eastern part of this river. So the Ukrainians could just waltz down and just stroll down this road to Starolinivka. The Russian forces are also conducting their own fire attacks against Ukrainian forces at Uruzhaine. They continue to attack with units supported by artillery and air force against Ukrainian forces at Uruzhaine. And this is reported by the Vostok group of forces also, and they also did the same thing over at Staromayoske, because these battles are side by side. They are pretty much the same battle, separated by the river. So the offensive have to operate, have to move at the same time, and the Russian forces are also hitting Ukrainian forces at Staromayoske as well. And on top of that, this one of these rare reports, I also reporting this shelling, as the Russian Defense Ministry mentioned about the use of artillery and air force against Ukrainian forces at Uruzhaine, Staromayoske, and at Makarivka. So you can also kind of tell from these reports that there is a massive grouping of Ukrainian forces in this area here that is currently conducting this offensive action. That the Russian forces need to conduct heavy bombardments to pin down these Ukrainian forces. So the fighting over at this Uruzhaine Staromayoske region is definitely still extremely fierce. Any claims that the Ukrainian offensive has failed, or the Ukrainian offensive is abandoned or ended, is not true. The Ukrainian offensive is still ongoing. And there is also some fighting reported at Prione on the 21st of August. According to Ryba, they said that there is some Ukrainian units conducting reconnaissance, and this is also echoed by Miroshnikov. So, but not much information about that. And then Miroshnikov also mentioned this very weird information. So he mentioned maybe it's a marriage, he got married, very happy, so he's giving out a lot more information that I cannot corroborate. So he said that at Novodonetsk, they say that the Russian forces are already pressured on 3 sides. So I can't tell exactly 3 sides is from where. I mean, is it this side, and this side, or is it this side, and this side? I can't tell, because no one talks about fighting at Novodonetsk. So he said that the Russians did not understand how the Ukrainians rolled out so quickly towards Kermanshah. And he said that the Russian lines are not something fantastic. He said that this so-called main line of defense, he kind of dissed it. He said that he do not want to discuss the future about this, but he said everything is very difficult. Every progress is very difficult. But he said that whatever is looming in the future is very interesting. So he like to talk in riddles, and as you can see, this claims is extremely bullish, and I have no idea how to corroborate this information until someone says something else. So anyway, just take note, these are all rumors coming from this pro-Ukrainian source, and so far he don't really say fake news, so he don't really propagate misinformation, but just that the information sometimes cannot be corroborated. So let's see how this goes as we move ahead. And that's all over at the Velika Novosilka sector. We move into the Donetsk front. This is the Donetsk front. At the Donetsk front, we have fighting reported at Novomikhailivka. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry on the 21st say that the Russians attacked at Novomikhailivka, and this report is actually corroborated by the Russian Defense Ministry on the 22nd of August report. However, they say that it is the Ukrainians that are attacking. But this shows that the both defense ministries actually corroborated each other's information, that there are indeed fighting near Novomikhailivka. So this is what I like to see as well. There is rumored Russian withdrawal from Poyeda, according to Deep State UA. They say that there is some Russian forces positions being removed from the south of Crimea. So I actually put this in the wrong place. Where's Crimea? Wait. Okay, correction. I misread. So ignore that last information about Boyeda. But it doesn't change the fact that the Russian forces mapping on the Ukrainian mapping have shown that they have withdrawn from Boyeda. I just want to know the mapping is still correct. Just that the information, the quoted source is wrong. So anyway, just yeah, there is some Russian withdrawal away from Boyeda, which is not clear when that had happened. And over at Marinka itself, we have the usual, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry and the Russian Defense Ministry claiming that they are fighting each other over there. And that's all for the Donetsk front. We move into the Avdiivka front. This is Avdiivka front. At the Avdiivka front, the Ukrainian forces continue to put pressure on the Russian forces. There is fighting reported at Nevelsky, reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. In the same report, they mentioned Krasnohorivka. So fighting is reported on the 21st of August. There is fighting reported at Avdiivka on the 22nd of August. Report by the Russian Defense Ministry. This is then also corroborated by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, which they mentioned fighting on the 21st and on the 22nd of August. So there is some fighting around the Avdiivka, but we have no idea where it is. So that's all for the Avdiivka front. Nothing at the New York front. This is the New York front. And moving into the Bakhmut front. So this is Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, we have fighting reported at Andriivka on the 21st of September. According to Ryba, Surya Maps, and Miroshnikov, all of them reported that the Ukrainians attacked Russian positions at Andriivka over here. So then, according to the Ukrainian source, Deep State UA, they mentioned that there is Ukrainian advances within Klishchiivka, and fighting is now ongoing within the village. This information is not entirely corroborated by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Ukrainian Defense Ministry mentioned on the 21st of August, which is the day before this Deep State UA report. Deep State UA's report is on the 22nd, that the Russians are conducting offensive operations. So maybe the Ukrainians counterattack and managed to re-enter the village, which was previously secured by the Russian forces. And according to the Ukrainian mapping, it doesn't really change much. It's still this line. And so we shall see how this goes as the Russians continue to hold this position at Klishchiivka on the southern flank of the Bakhmut front. There's nothing happening over the northern side of the Bakhmut front, but on the western part of Bakhmut itself, according to Russian Defense Ministry, they had this very detailed report that accompanies a video of Russian forces launching a series of RPGs towards a certain direction, which we have no idea what's the target. They only say that they're bombarding Ukrainian forces. They say that the Russian airborne troops spotted Ukrainian infantry in groups advancing towards Russian positions. So after they allow the Ukrainian forces to reach within a firing range in some wooded area, the Russian airborne fired at the Ukrainian forces with RPGs, and then the Ukrainian forces withdraw. But as they withdraw, they got engaged by the Russian forces automatic grenade launchers, as well as machine gun fire. And so yeah, casualties are not important. So the Ukrainians did try to attack towards Bakhmut. Maybe they are trying to infiltrate into the city, and that will give the Russian forces a lot of problems should they enter the city. But we do not know exactly where the attack come from. Is it from the Krumove region? Is it towards the Citadel region, or is it in the southwestern part? We are not sure because there was no mapping or information regarding this. But this is the very detailed story from the Russian Defense Ministry side. And that's all from the Bakhmut front. We move into the Sivers front. We have nothing along this Sivers front, no updates. And we go into the Crimea front. So this is Crimea front. At the Crimea front, we have just now the report that I mixed up. Deep State UA claimed that there is some Russian withdrawal in the south of Crimea, but they say that they themselves not sure what had happened. So we shall monitor and see. Otherwise, the Russian Defense Ministry reported that the Ukrainians continue their offensive within the Serebransky forestry, which has started on the 19th, since the 16th was the last report. This continuous attack from the 19th to the 22nd continued, with fighting reported not just at the Serebransky forestry but also at the Toske sector, which is over here. So this is Toske, and this is the Serebransky forestry, and the Ukrainian forces are attacking in these directions. The Russian Defense Ministry reported the same thing over here. So that's all. Everything is from the Russian Defense Ministry. Western part of Dibrova, there is some fighting near Dibrova, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, on the 21st of August. This is part of this very sporadic attacks from the Ukrainians. 14, 18, 21. So this is very sporadic. It's not a sustained offensive. And we also, on the 22nd of August, have reports from the Russian Defense Ministry about Ukrainian attack south of Dibrova. This reported by the Center Group of Forces. And so this is assault by the Ukrainian 63rd Mechanized Brigade, so south of Dibrova. So we have Ukrainians attacking in multiple sectors. This is definitely still an ongoing offensive by the Ukrainians in their criminal offensive. This Ukrainian attack has been ongoing for months already, which is less reported about and less excited about by the Ukrainian side, because the fighting over here is very unclear, because it's mainly in the forest region, very hard to map the front line. People not really putting a lot of attention on Crimea, especially all the fancy weapons are Leopards, Challenger, Striker. Everything is over at the Zaporizhia region, so which is why people just don't really talk about Crimea front that much. Over at the Sviatove front, this is the Sviatove front. At the Sviatove front, we have Ukrainians attacking Raihorodka on the 22nd of August, report by the Russian Defense Ministry. So they're attacking towards Raihorodka, which is interesting. This is a new vector of attack from the Ukrainians. Previously, the fighting was at Nadia. The Russian forces captured Serhievka. So let's see how this goes. We haven't seen the fighting at Raihorodka for like weeks already. Over at the northern part of Sviatove front, we have fighting reported at Novoselivsky. This is a continuation of the Ukrainian counter offensive. To recapture Novoselivsky, that was captured by the Russian forces, and all the reports is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. And one interesting thing to note is that in every report, the units seems to be different. So this report was 25th Airborne, 95th Airborne, 14 mechanized. The next report was 14 mechanized, 115, and the 67 mechanized. And then we go further south, we have 41, 66, and 67, and 25th. So it could be a reason. The reason could be because there was multiple locations being mentioned, but we really not too sure. I think there is not even a consistent unit that was being reported here. 14, 14. There's no 14 over here. So there, you can tell that there is some kind of rotation on the Ukrainian side as they do the offensive. One attack, stop, then another one will push. So this is also being witnessed on other fronts, especially over at the Zaporizhia front. So we shall see how this goes. And we move on to the Kupiansk front. This is the Kupiansk front. And the Kupiansk front, we have fighting reported at Kaislivka on the 21st of August, according to Surya maps. They simply corroborate. I think it's just a corroboration of our previous reports about the fighting at Kaislivka. And over at the Vyshana-Sinkivka region, which is where the Russian Kupiansk offensive is ongoing as they attack in this direction, fighting is still ongoing. So the Russian forces continue to be fighting at the Sinkivka region on the 21st of August. And is this correct? Let me check. Oh, is the date 22nd? So I indeed forgot to change the add on the 22nd. Yeah, so from the 21st to 22nd of August, the Russian forces continue to attack. Multiple reports, Deep State UA, Raiba, Surya Maps, Raiba. So, and then the offensive is also reported at Vyshana on the 22nd of August by the Russian Defense Ministry and Raiba. So so it's just ongoing. There is an interesting information from the Russian Defense Ministry though. They mentioned that there is a counter-attack by the Ukrainian forces at Petropavlivka. So Petropavlivka is actually over here. This is Petropavlivka, which is actually a octopus town. They have many tentacles, and most likely there is some fighting around this area here that triggers this report from the Russian Defense Ministry of a Ukrainian counterattack in this area here. So which is probably why they mentioned Petropavlivka, and so yeah, so that's that. There is no indication of any Russian forces entered Petropavlivka just yet. And the Ukrainians are also counter-attacking over at Sinkivka from the 21st to 22nd. Information from the Russian Defense Ministry. So that's all. The Russian forces have not captured Sinkivka, as written by information from Deep State UA. They mentioned that the Russian forces still have not succeeded. And I think, yeah, Ryba also mentioned, despite statements by sources about the capture of the village, part of the village is actually still controlled by the Ukrainian forces. And I didn't put in the Myroshnikov one because he basically laughed at the Russians, saying that the Russians have already captured Sinkivka twice, but it's still under Ukrainian control. So, but I didn't paste that in because it's the irrelevant information, because we already have other sources confirming all this fighting. And that's it from the Kupiansk front. And nothing over at the Kharkiv front, and nothing over at the border region between Ukraine and Russia. And I think there's nothing else. Yep. So this is the summary for the day of 544 to 545 for the 21st to 22nd of August. So some conclusion. The fact that the Russian forces managed to detect and attack, I wouldn't say sink, because there's actually no indication, even in the video footage that was released by the Russian Defense Ministry, I actually did not see the sinking of any of these speedboats. So they may not have successfully sinked all these boats. May not. It is only on the Russian statement that said that they did. So, however, this indeed shows that the Ukrainians have the capability now to at least take over certain oil rigs that would disrupt Russian oil production over in the region around Crimea. And this also indicates that the Ukrainian forces could one day launch a massive amphibious assault on Crimea. However, it would be extremely difficult, and it would be extremely pointless. I would say that a more plausible thing for the Ukrainians to do is actually land on the southern part of Kherson region instead of going for Crimea, because that's a bit too deep. The reinforcement cannot reach there. By landing around the Zelizny port and whatnot, they can actually fan out and hit the rear of the Russian forces. That will actually stretch the Russian forces. I think that would actually work pretty well for the Ukrainians, and that will be something that I will be expecting, rather than an attack directly on Crimea. I think that will just be folly. Because then you will see the Black Sea Fleet entering into this area here, securing the waters around here, and there's no more reinforcement, resupply, and the entire force will be wiped out. So I don't think that is the case. The fighting around the Kherson region is kind of pointless to talk about. The Ukrainians continue all these amphibious operations, setting up observation posts around all these islands. So I personally do not think much about all these operations around here, because unless there's something big going to happen, all this is just going to be just skirmishes. The Ukrainian forces continue their operation over at Robotine. Then as they continue to push in multiple directions, I think this one is clearer. And this operations with this report by Surya Maps talking about the Russian counterattack does seems a little bit interesting, but I won't put too much weight on that. Tentatively and definitely, I don't think the Russians have lost this trench line just yet. But there is indeed a lot of footages coming out from Robotine, and some of them are quite spectacular. The fighting is not the kind of like massive tank battles with thousands of troops facing each other. It's not. It's all small squads battles. So for those that are interested, do go and check it out. Some of these Robotine footages, you will find that the battles, modern warfare is all small squads. So at most 20-30 people. A bit like the multiplayer games on the first-person shooter on Battlefield or Call of Duty. It's not the kind of a massive World War II style battle that is happening around here. As for this Nesteryanka Kopani attack reported by Marashnikov, I would say just take it with a pinch of salt. I don't think it is something to be talking about. I don't think it's meaningful. And over at the Velika Novoselka sector, this is also, I think, the most interesting thing that among the reports is this Rybas mapping to show that the Russian lines is just off Uruzhaine. It's not along the river, which is kind of a culture shock to me. Not culture shock, but kind of a factual shock to me, because we have been reporting that the Ukrainian forces have taken the entire area here, and they are already putting pressure on the Russians at Zvenye Bazania. So apparently the Ukrainians have not even tasted or even smelled the lasagna yet. Everything is still very erotic around here, so yeah, I just thought that's interesting. We shall continue to monitor how this goes, because this amount of gray zone around this area here is a bit unsettling. And yeah, we shall see, because if the Russians can continue to hold this position, it could theoretically possible for the Russian forces to do a counterattack against the Ukrainian forces. And yeah, that would not be very convenient or nice for the Ukrainian forces. And the Russians continue to do all these bombardments around all these areas here, does make life really difficult for the Ukrainian side. We shall continue to monitor how this battle will unfold. And what else is important? Let me see. Fighting in this region is very routine. Klishchiivka. The latest suggestion is that the Ukrainian forces re-entered Klishchiivka, according to Deep State UA. We shall see how this goes. I have not much things to really talk about that. Ukrainians also going for Andriivka. Yeah, I mean, this is part of the Ukrainian Bakhmut offensive. I just find this is more interesting, the attempt to penetrate into Bakhmut itself. But yeah, the Ukrainians definitely, they are still ongoing. Their offensive is still ongoing. Crimea, nothing much to really talk about. Nothing much to talk about in Svatove. In terms of Kupiansk, the usual, the Russians continuing their offensive towards Kupiansk in Sinkivka and Vyshana region. They still have not captured Sinkivka, so yeah, there isn't really much of a change in terms of the strategic situation. And for Surovikin suspension, yeah, I think he's just like Prigozhin. He's just very popular, and a lot of good things has been credited to him, and I have no doubt he is a pretty good general. So, but dismissal of him, does it really affect Russian operations? I'm really not too sure, because Russia is a really big place. They have a lot of people. There might be hidden talents within the generals that is now currently commanding the forces on the ground, which we do not know of. So who knows, the Russians indeed have a lot of very good candidates that can replace Surovikin. The main problem with the Surovikin issue is that, like I mentioned earlier in the SITREP, he might have insider information about what Prigozhin is planning to do, and that might be the reason why he got involved into getting arrested by the Russian Defense Ministry. I think that is probably why he was arrested, because if you know that there's a coup going to happen, a mutiny going to happen, you should be reporting to the defense minister, to your supreme commander, or to which they have to do something to stop it or something. But the fact that he only later did a video to just try to tell Prigozhin not to do it. I'm not sure. There must be some insider story to this, or who knows, it could be just an excuse or reason, because you have to understand, the Wagner forces is pulled out after capturing Bakhmut. and they were sent to the rear to rest, regroup, rearm, and there was plans for the Wagner forces, but the plan doesn't seem to be in Ukraine. And as you can see in the latest video, Prigozhin is now in Africa. So for a person who is allegedly conducting a mutiny, still have so much freedom to fly around is a pretty amazing thing to witness, to be honest. Who knows, Surovikin might be caught to do something even more important than the special military operation, because the special military operation to the Russians is a foregone conclusion. They are just going through the motion, waiting for the Ukrainians to grind themselves out, to exhaust themselves, and then they will claim the victory. That's how the Russians look at it. I'm not saying that this will be the case. I'm just saying that this is how the Russians look at it. So it could be a case where they are taking out Surovikin, who has proven himself, I believe, in Syria. I think he might be tasked with a new job. Maybe something to do with Africa. Maybe something to do with Niger. So maybe it could be that case. I'm just speculating, because the Surovikin is one of those talents. So people all the pro-Russians are so excited about the Surovikin line. This is the Surovikin line. So excited about it. There must be a certain level of talent to him, and he looks like a very straightforward person. So I don't think Putin will take him out. Maybe ask him to hate something pretty important that his talent is not needed over in Ukraine. That is just my speculation. But the Ukrainians, if you just look at the icons on this map, it's just full of blues. The Ukrainians are still very active. The Ukrainian offensive is still ongoing. Any claims that it's not, I don't think it's accurate. And with all this naval battle, more like an airstrike on naval vessels, indeed put a new dimension into this Ukraine war. Anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next update.